Hello, hello. Welcome back to Big Dreams, No Pressure podcast. And I'm your host, Dmitry Senekov. Today, we're going to be talking about what I believe to be going to be a foundational episode that I'm going to be referring people back to time and time again. And what we're going to discuss today is, of course, the foundational work of everything that we're talking about, which is self worth. And in a way, I want to share with you the self worth solution that I had to go through on my own experience. And it's a combination of various different techniques and methods, and also different layers that I needed to go into in order to actually get to a level of such feeling enough and such feeling worthy that in my own perspective, at least in this moment, I no longer need anything external out of me to believe that I'm whole and worthy, and nothing else is needed to be added to my external environment or the experience in order for me to feel okay about myself. And it is my intention to transmit my lessons, to transmit my journey, to assist you in your own, so that you don't have to wait or be patient or to continue to put so much pressure on yourself so that you try to achieve the levels of success that you think is what is going to make you feel worthy and whole. And if you've been in my world for quite some time, or if you're brand new, welcome. We don't have surface conversations here, so we dive right into the depth of things. So, why self-worth in the first place, right? And to me, in my own experience, the lack of my own self-worth, the lack of my own enoughness, is what I noticed has been driving my need to achieve. That was creating the internal pressure to keep on going after things and succeeding and making money and going after the external success symbols, so that I can finally prove to others that, okay, look at me, I'm successful, I'm enough, I'm worthy, and I, I could be paid attention to please somebody, right? And I totally understand if you are going through the experience right now that you feel maybe alone, maybe you feel like you don't belong, maybe you feel like people don't value you for who you are, or maybe you yourself, your inner critic, inner slave driver, as I say it, is continuing to berate and beat yourself down that you're not performing enough, or that you need to be better and you need to grow. This is the episode for you to finally perhaps find a sense of relief and a sense of peace in where you are, and also find reasons why it has been that way. And my intention is to help you see what the heck it is that you've come here for, why you're actually worthy underneath everything that is happening and stuff you have and you don't have. And hopefully by the end of the episode, you will have this sense of completion, so to say. It's like, wow, I don't actually need to get anywhere in order for me to feel whole and enough as I am right now. And that 100% I'm going to be growing into a different, bigger version of myself. And I'll be acquiring things and relationships that will begin to reflect back to you the enoughness that you hopefully will be able to touch just by the end of our conversation today. So let's begin with the first layer, and that layer is purpose, right? What is your purpose, and what is the purpose of life, and what is the bigger purpose of existence in general? And it's important to address this layer because the biggest, or one of the biggest factors that are producing the pressure that you cannot allow yourself to sit still or slow down or to rest, and that you have to keep on performing, and you have to achieve, and you have to serve others, is really this understanding and view of our purpose of life. And for many high achievers who are putting so much pressure on themselves, it's that your purpose is to achieve and your purpose is to perform on the biggest scales, right? It could be that you are a student just going through your studies and entering maybe higher levels of education like colleges and universities, and you need to perform in order to get good marks, in order to be number, at the top of the class list. Maybe you're already beyond that level. Maybe you have achieved the successes and yet it still doesn't feel enough. Maybe you are already a successful entrepreneur, maybe holding a powerful executive position in one of the key amazing companies in the world, and you're still not feeling enough. It doesn't matter what stage you're in. The pressure might still be coming from just this view that the purpose of my life is to achieve and to perform. And unless and until we address this view that the purpose of your life is to do something with your life and to be a productive member of society, it's not going to be easy to, one, reduce and alleviate the pressure, and two, to actually get to a point of seeing that maybe you're whole enough and complete as you are, even if you allow yourself to sit on the couch and do nothing for the next year or two, maybe 10, right? People who have been conditioned by a well-meaning society, by our parents, to who have been actually supporting us to be the better versions of ourselves, right? They were celebrating each moment of a win that we have had, and in a way that got conditioned into our own internal psyche, that I get accolades and I get attention and I get validation when I do something great, when I do something great, not only for myself, but for others. And when I actually get the attention from others, right? I win some kind of competition. I land in some kind of top position. I already get myself somewhere on the top. When I get that external validation is when even more validation comes in. And if we continue to believe that it is our purpose to continue to be at the top of the list, right? We're talking about here specifically the high achiever conditioning, people who have gotten used to being at the top of the list in various places. We cannot have the conversation about self-worth and begin to disconnect your self-worth from your level of achievement or your performance until we address this layer of purpose. That perhaps it is not only your purpose to achieve and perform and to do things with your life, and that perhaps there's a bigger purpose in play. And here I would love to go into a bit of a bird's eye view of what the purpose could be. And you don't have to take my word for it. My intention with all of these ways to allow you to see things from a different perspective is not to preach to you that my way is the right way. My goal is to find the most effective and efficient solutions to look at things so that you actually become more unlocked and unleashed in sharing your genius to the world that you already are. And I find that the more high achievers feel worthy without their need for achievement, without their need for external validation, the more they're able to bloom and express and just shine to the world, and the more gifts we get to see from all of the wonderful people and souls such as yourself who's listening to this. So if your purpose is not solely to do in your life, then what the heck could it be? Right. And let's take a bird's eye view here that perhaps if we say that life is continuously expanding, right? Maybe the universe is continuously expanding. Would it not be the case that the expansion is happening through experiences? So an example is the more experience you get in your own life, the more expanded your view becomes about life. So, including having the experience of listening to this podcast right now, there is expansion happening as you're simply listening. Maybe you could be driving, maybe you could be sitting meditating, maybe you're cooking, washing dishes. It doesn't matter. But as you are going through the experience of listening to these words and doing what you're doing, expansion is already happening. And if the purpose of life, if we can say for a second here that the purpose of life is to expand, and the fact that the expansion is happening by you simply listening to this episode right now, then wouldn't it also mean that simply by you having experience, life gets to expand? And that it doesn't matter what kind of experience that you add to this expansion. It could be a bad experience, it could be a good experience. Any and all experience adds to it. And the funny thing is, sometimes people get to choose and to pick that, ooh, I want to learn through bad experiences, right? I want to learn through failures. And wouldn't then these bad experiences and failures, and maybe some very bad traumatic events, wouldn't they be adding to the entire experience of life and to allow the universe to expand? So, wouldn't it also say then, if you allow yourself to just sit on the couch for a day, for a week, for 2 years, which initially I understand if you're just listening to it right now, like I can't afford to do that. I have to bills to pay. I have my career to take care of. I have all of these responsibilities to take care of. I cannot afford to sit. But let's kind of put those mental conversations aside for now. Just imagining if you were to allow yourself to sit, wouldn't it mean that you will still continue to have an experience? Even if you're sitting on the couch staring at a blank wall. Maybe you're going to watch the movies. Maybe you're going to scroll through their phone. Maybe you're going to look out the window. And as you are watching all of that, not only your eyes and ears are going to be picking up stuff, even if you're staring at the wall, that's looking at an empty wall and nothing's happening. Without adding any more judgment, whether that's a good or bad experience, it's an experience of watching the wall. And not only with the eyes and ears, but also there is an internal experience happening. If we allow ourselves to pay attention to it, there is an experience of sitting on something or laying down on something, right? The pressure, the feel, the support that we feel from either the couch or the chair that we're on. We're feeling the sense of gravity. We're feeling the blood moving around. We're feeling the heartbeat. We're hearing some internal sounds that are occurring. All of that is experience. And wouldn't we say then that that experience is also expanding the universe if we don't judge any experience as worthy or not worthy? And if we continue in this way of thinking, then wouldn't it mean that the expansion happens similar to what is happening right now with those Ring doorbells and video cameras all over the world, that we are taking snapshots of what is occurring at different points of time and space around the planet, and we're uploading those images up to the cloud somewhere on servers, storing the data of what has occurred so far, right? Including like all of the YouTubes and Facebooks of the world, they're recording information, recording our stories and posts and pictures. And that information is continuously expanding. So couldn't we look at it in a similar way that our eyes and ears are the cameras of this bigger cloud of existence, and that simply ourselves going through the experience and recording things as they happen, as all of that information gets uploaded to this bigger cloud, is our contribution to life expanding? And if we look at it that way, is there any prerequisite or any level of filtering what experience is worthy and what experience is not worthy. And would we also say that if you were not uploading your experience to this bigger expansion in the cloud, that the entire life would be missing the file of your experience, the file of your life, the file of you, of your experience today? Whether that was an awful experience, whether that was the most exciting day that happened to you so far. If you didn't have that experience, we would have an empty slot in the level of existence. It's like, what happened here? There would be a void. And I'm trusting that as I'm sharing with you this different way to look at life, that something is opening up, something inside your body is actually connecting. Wow, there's something to this, what this guy might be saying, that maybe my purpose is not to do or to be or to create or follow my mission and purpose, but maybe my entire purpose and mission is to simply allow my existence to upload all of my experiences, and in so doing, continue and contribute to the expansion of life. Wow. So wouldn't that mean that it's not your purpose to actually do or achieve or to pass your tests or to succeed in your business ideas or to reach a certain pinnacle of a career, a ladder ascension? That maybe the entire purpose of your life is to go through the experience of going after those dreams and goals that you have. And that maybe it is not the achievement of those goals themselves, but it is the experience of the process of getting there. That we are here not to simply go from point A to B at a blink of an eye and kind of forget and suffer through the entire process of going from point A to B, but it is in being present to every moment of these intricate moments of discoveries when new information gets to come in, similar to how you're listening to this podcast right now. You're probably getting new insights as this conversation is happening. And as you allow yourself to become a little more present to the journey, knowing that 100% guaranteed there's going to be a new discovery happening tomorrow, next month, in a year or 10 years, you're going to be different. The experience is going to be completely different. And then the purpose for you to be here right now is to actually not have those insights and those discoveries and those things and those relationships and that money and those successes that you're guaranteed to have 10 years down the road. So maybe right now it's your entire purpose to actually go through the experience of not having those things. And maybe it is your purpose to actually to experience this limitation. How do I feel of not having those things that I want? Isn't that a cool and a different perspective to look at your purpose as a productive human being and a contributing member of society? That maybe it is not that it doesn't really matter what you do and don't do, right? It doesn't matter whether you're going to fulfill in your dietary requirements that you might be going through right now. It doesn't matter whether you're going to stick to the discipline scheduled and morning routine that you have convinced all of your friends around that this is what you're going to be doing next. But maybe it is the entire scope of the experience of being successful in sticking to this discipline, and also noticing what comes up and the reasons why we may now want to stick to the discipline. And all of that, in the bigger perspective of life, is a valuable contribution to life as a whole, which actually means then that all of your failures, I'm doing them in air quotes, have been successful acquisitions of experience that you have contributed to the whole of society, of existence, of life in general. And that all of your, in quotes, failures and traumatic experience and awful things that may have happened in the past, they are actually successful events that you have had the chance to go through and survive through. And maybe that has been your entire value and contribution and worth to life as it is overall. And that if you didn't go through those things, then maybe we would be missing that file of your life. And there would be an empty space, and life wouldn't be the same without your file being there, without you being there, without you witnessing this wonderful journey that you're going through. It doesn't matter how you're reacting to it. Maybe there's a very strong inner critic that is continuing to being harsh on yourself and continuing to force and discipline, and that you have to, and yet this other internal part that is perhaps sabotaging, and there's a third part that is not happy with the way things are happening, and maybe it's not happy with the timing how things are happening. And so all of these different parts of the experience, they are adding to the value of your existence. Right? We have to have this conversation. What the heck is the purpose of your life? Because it is not just to do, it is not just to serve, it is not just to perform and achieve and to get somewhere else, but it is your journey and your experience of the journey. That is the entire purpose of this thing. Now, you don't have to believe me, but just notice and feel what is happening in your experience of your both emotions and maybe some of the relief that is now relaxation happening in your body, that maybe there is no need to have that pressure for you to do something that your mind told you that you have to do. That maybe just being exactly where you are right now in this very moment is your absolute highest contribution and purpose and mission that you could ever have, because nobody else in the world is exactly where you are right now. So your unique experiences, your unique views, your unique interests are the exact contribution that the world needs. Right? This is the first and very foundational layer of getting to the level of self-worth that is independent and detached from what it is you do, from what it is you achieve, from what it is that you get to contribute or not to contribute to society in general. Right? And until we had that conversation of what the heck the purpose is, the mind wouldn't be able to go to these other, maybe deeper layers. Okay, so then the next layer, if your purpose is to just experience, then we have to address the level of safety and feeling safe. Because until, again, we allow the mind and the body to have an experience of what it means to feel safe, is there a chance that perhaps throughout your life you haven't actually felt safe until you're hearing this message that all of our lives we're actually going through our days not feeling safe, being constantly worried and anxious about the future, how all of that is going to happen. And because we're coming from the position that I don't feel safe, then my only purpose out of that is to help myself get to a level of safety that I can be comfortable with. And if we're talking about self-worth, would it not make sense that there is no possibility of a conversation about talking about self-worth until we feel safe, right? That is that famous Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that safety is number one, kind of the foundational layer, the physical safety, like that we have the air, food, and water, and kind of physical space that actually feels safe. And at this layer of conversation, I'm assuming that we don't have bombs flying around, that nobody's knocking on our doors trying to steal things. And that in our more or less progress society, we have the physical means met, so to say. And now we have to have the conversation about the psychological level of safety that most people have had not the experience to be on a consistent basis in, right? And here we go into kind of how do we get the safety, right? And where does safety come from? So similar to how we have been conditioned that my sense of self-worth and my sense of value is coming from the outside, or it's coming from my level of performance, where we're learning to readdress it, that maybe that self-worth is simply an internal phenomenon, right? It doesn't come from somewhere outside. And that in fact, the outside is going to begin to reflect what is actually going on inside. So same thing with the level of safety, that safety did not come from the outside. But if you haven't felt safe, if it was simply reflecting to you how unsafe you actually felt in the body. And in our conversations over the last 2 weeks, what actually came up was the mind who has been conditioned that it is not safe and it is a threat to be with the emotions and the sensations that are happening in this very moment right now in our body. The mind assumed that it is a threat to be in this very moment right now with all of these emotions and sensations. So it's going to be safer to not be in this very moment right now and to either be in the past or to be in the future, right? Either we're going to be thinking about, oh, what did I say? Why did I say it in the past? Or I wish I still had that relationship that was in the past. Or we're consistently in the future thinking that it is the future that's going to bring me all of the happiness and the joys and all of the amazing miracles that are going to come my way. Or maybe it's kind of the complete opposite, that we are dreading the future and we're thinking of all of the bad and awful things that might happen and that our mind needs to protect us from, right? And in so doing, the mind is playing an amazingly effective game of keeping us away from this very moment right here, right now, which is actually, I want to say, is the only place that we can find safety ever. Ever. Right? Safety does not exist in the past and the future. Safety, the feeling of safety, it is not a thought of safety, it is the feeling of safety in the body that only exists here and now. And this is what we do through our conversations that are really, I'm calling the feelings gym, where we retrain your nervous system in order to be okay with your feelings and sensations as you're having them in the moment. Because this feeling muscle, so to say, has been atrophied in our life. We have been told that it's not good to feel, that we have to escape all of these bad emotions. And just calling them bad and negative is creating this sense of, I need to stay away from them, right? And if I need to stay away from them and they actually come up, what do I do? Well, I need to get away from these negative emotions from coming up. So I need to escape out of this moment into the past or the future. And this is what the mind is doing. It goes into the anxiety of thinking about all of those things that may happen. Right? There's that great quote that I have fought many battles, only a few of which actually happened. Right? And this is kind of what we do in our minds. We constantly fight things that don't even exist. We create, and the only reason the mind is doing that is because we don't feel that it is safe to be here in this very moment, right here, right now. And so, addressing the level of purpose initially, now we're addressing the level of safety, right? Until your mind learns that it is safe to be in the moment and it is safe to be with any and every emotion that occurs and every sensation that occurs in the body. And as you develop the muscle to feel all of these things and allow them to process and out of your system, that allows you to actually feel safe to be with any circumstance that happens, because in a way, we're not afraid of the external thing that happens. We have actually been conditioned to be afraid of how that external thing is going to make us feel. But I'm not afraid that somebody's going to cheat on me, like a partner or somebody. I'm afraid of those awful feelings and sensations that I'm going to feel inside when an event does happen. And as we begin to feel safe, and as we begin to notice that when we feel safe, less and less events occur in our lives to reflect to us this feeling that we're not feeling safe, the more we begin to relax and surrender maybe into this moment, that I can actually just be here right now, be present, watching, and fully receiving the moment as it is with all of my perceptory mechanisms, of all of my sensitivities, right? We have way more than just the five senses that we have been told. When I feel safe and I see that my purpose is to be in the experience of this very moment, then we actually allow ourselves to get to the next layer. And the next layer, really, we get to the layer of being provided for. Right? This is the moment when, okay, I might feel safe in the moment right here, right now, right? But it's a fact of life that I have bills to pay at the end of the month. Or it's a fact of life that I got to put food on the table, or I got, mortgage, or I got kids, or I got these other things, and I have these jobs and everything else. And when we get to the foundational level that my purpose possibly is not to do or to create or do anything with my life, but to actually go through the experience of creating it all. And through that process, we actually allow more of our inherent genius to come out, and actually more in service to the world and to our highest potential. And we feel safe in the moment. Now we have to look at, okay, am I sure and am I certain that I'm going to be provided for? Right. And typically, many people that I work with who are no longer happy in the jobs or the careers that they have chosen in their earlier decision point, and now they're feeling like they no longer enjoy the work that they do, and they would prefer to go and do something else. The only reason that they may continue to doing work that they don't like anymore, or the work that doesn't light them up anymore, is because they think it's that work that is providing for them financially. And feeling provided for, it's not just financial, like it's provided with love, provided with sense of security, provided with joy and peace and everything else. But many times it is the financial providership that we're looking for in order for us to feel okay about ourselves, right? Because in a way, we cannot look at sense of self-worth if we are not being provided for. Like, if I'm not being provided for, then I am definitely not going to be enough. I'm not definitely not going to be worthy, because I am going to be lacking something. I need something. And if I continue to look for something that is outside of me or into the future, of course, there's going to be that sense of not enoughness on the inside. So we have to look at the next layer is feeling provided for, as in, we have been conditioned that it is my responsibility to provide for myself. If nobody cares about me as much as I do, then it is up to me to make sure that I'm provided for. And that unless I am the one who's always in charge of everything that occurs in my life, then nothing outside is going to actually take care of me, right? This is the typical conditioning that we get to deal with. And of course, look at how much weight that brings. Just thinking that it's like, whoa, I cannot afford to put my guard down even for a second, because if I allow myself to relax, then what's going to happen with my bills tomorrow? Who's going to pay for them? Who's going to pay for my kids? Who's going to pay for the education? Who's going to pay for all of this stuff, right? And I'm talking about very physical, financial terms. Makes complete sense. And so that's why we have to address this layer, because it's a very key component of getting to a sense of feeling worthy and whole and complete just as you are. And the way we do that is really getting to a point of not only intellectual understanding or a conceptual belief that, okay, I'm provided for, but we get to a point inside of our Flow Habit Academy that you actually have an embodied experience of being provided for no matter what it is that you do or don't do. That even if you allow yourself to sit on the couch, somehow there's going to be water, somehow there's going to be food, somehow the bill's going to get paid, somehow you're going to be provided for. And that is going to start to rewire all of that conditioning that I have to be the one responsible for everything that occurs or doesn't occur in my life. That if we can start to rely on something bigger than just myself, that I'm actually provided for no matter what I do or don't do, and my only responsibility is to actually go with each moment and to see what it is that I prefer to do or not do next, then I can feel this sense of relaxation that I no longer need to force life to happen. That no matter what I do or don't do, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be provided for, right? And we combine it both with the foundational level of purpose, that my purpose is to experience, and second level of safety, where I just feel safe in this very moment right now. Getting to the level of feeling that no matter what you do, and especially as you allow yourself to follow your dreams, all of those things that you've always wanted to try out, that you're going to be supported no matter what. Not only do we feel safe about this very moment in this body right here, right now, but we actually feel safe and certain that no matter what happens in the future, I'm going to be provided for. Wow. Now we're getting more and more. It's like little puzzle pieces that are beginning to connect and create this concrete foundation that maybe I can just relax and everything will be okay. And we cannot have the conversation of allowing a high achiever to relax until we address all of these beliefs, because otherwise the pressure to perform has a very good benefit in make sure that you are on purpose, in making sure that you're feeling safe, and in making sure that you're provided for in the future. That has been the entire goal of you putting so much pressure on yourself. And instead, now we are beginning and continuing to rewire all of these concepts that have no more ground than just somebody living their life that way and us having to learn that maybe that's how life works. And in this conversation, we are simply really flipping it upside down, that maybe you don't have to do anything and you're actually could feel safe and you could feel provided for, while also learning to feel all of these things in an experiential level, not just an intellectual mind-based concept. Once we have these, right, it's, oh my God, my purpose is to just be with my day no matter what happens. I don't have to force anything. Like, if no ideas come, then that's okay. If successes don't come, that's okay. And if successes do come, that's even better and amazing. And that when I feel safe right now, and I feel that I'm going to be provided for no matter what, and that I can handle any emotion that comes, including any circumstance, whether it's going to be good or bad. And when I learn to see that any bad circumstance is actually allowing me to feel through the emotion that is not or is no longer serving me, that I can just allow to be processed out of my system. Look at how much more freedom there is to just relax. Wow. That I no longer need pressure to keep me safe from all of these things that I thought I needed to fight for or to force through. And of course, when we have this foundational level of safety, certainty, and guarantee that we're going to be provided for, next, of course, there's still going to be certain aspects of ourselves that are not going to feel enough, right? So, okay, so what that I have my food and my rent and my mortgage paid for and that my family is okay and safe, like, so what? Like, there's these other things that I want to do and I'm not enough, right? There's other expectations that I want to have or other experiences I want to have, and so because of I'm thinking about them, then I'm not enough. And here, of course, we can talk about that the sense of not enoughness at that level, when we feel a sense of safety and security, both in the moment and into the future, then it is about seeing that this not enoughness usually comes with a sense of comparison. That as you are right now, that is who you are, fully and completely. Right? There could not be any more you than you are right now. But if we introduce a second point, whether in time or somebody else in comparison, now there is a comparison point, more or less, weaker, stronger, taller, shorter, faster, slower. Now, the not enoughness comes only when there is a point of comparison. And it could be that we're comparing ourselves to somebody else who is completely on their own unique journey. It could be we're comparing ourselves to our past, that, oh my God, I wish the past continued, or I wish I was back in my past when things were a little better, faster, stronger. Or we're comparing ourselves to the imagined future that I wish I was already at that point when I have more, when I know more, when there is more. And it's understanding that only in that sense of comparison that not enoughness comes in. Otherwise, when you are right now, so the way, in a way, to alleviate that pressure of feeling like you're not enough in comparison to something is to come back to this very moment right here, right now, that there is no more of you that you can be right now in this very moment, knowing that for sure tomorrow and a year and 10 years from now, you're going to be different, and knowing for sure that 5 and 10 years ago, you were completely different as well. And knowing for sure that there are 8 billion people right now who live in completely different realities. And if we just can compare it to all of them, then it's just going to create all of this mental mumbo jumbo. But who you are right now is who you are. And it's a particular journey that you have decided to go through. And that is actually your unique experience of the things that you're actually going through right now that is contributing to the whole. So, pretty much, you're completely enough exactly as you are. And everything that you think and don't think about yourself, whether you love your body or not yet, and whether the inner critic is very strict on you or whether you're beginning to have a little more self love and compassion, all of those points of experience are exactly perfect and enough, and exactly what has been needed and necessary for you and from you to add to the experience of life as a whole. And of course, we cannot leave this conversation until we address what are actually experiential feelings of not feeling enough. Because it is my view, that's kind of what makes me very effective at having coaching conversations and being able to narrow down what it is in the person's mind, the way they look at themselves and others, creating certain behaviors and thought patterns, that anything that is happening in your life right now, there's a good reason for it. And if we look at it that anything that happens in your life, there's a good reason for it, good, beneficial reason. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't keep it. Like, even if you're currently in the mind of being a victim or feeling bad of yourself or the anxiety or the depression, the only reason you're having those experiences is there is an aspect of you that thinks this is better and more beneficial and more safe than having a different view. And it's just that program got instilled when you were still maybe even pre-verbal, maybe as a young child who didn't have enough of the brain capacity to process things in the correct way. And so we're still, in a way, playing our childhood programs. And we cannot dissolve completely the sense and feeling of not enoughness until we become aware of and begin looking for all aspects and all parts of us that are actually feeling not enough. Let me give you an example. Typically, with high achievers who have been conditioned with a very strong inner critic that is pushing us forward, driving us forward, creating this pressure to go after our dreams, where the discipline muscle has been overworked to such a degree that any little detour from our projected plan is going to be shut down with a level 5 security alarm, right? If we're driving on the road, it's like, ooh, there's an ice cream. No, no ice cream. This is not good. Sugar is bad. We're watching our diet completely. No, no, no. And what do you think happens to that aspect of ours that maybe in a boy or in a little girl who hasn't had the joy of having ice cream in years and decades? What do you think that little boy or girl gonna feel inside when everything in our system screams and yells, no, bad boy, bad girl, bad dog, sit, be quiet? How do you think that aspect of ourselves is going to feel like? That I cannot even, not only that I cannot have the ice cream that I actually want, but that even the desire to have the ice cream is bad. Wow. Could that aspect of ourselves feel like I am not enough just because of the desire that I have? And I'm not even consciously causing the desire, it's just coming up, and I'm not allowed to have it. Not only am I not allowed to actually get the thing that I actually want, but I'm not even allowed, and it's even bad to even think about that desire. Right? What do you think happens to that little inner part of ourselves who feels judged by our own other parts, the inner critics and the discipline and all of the shoulds that the mind has created around us in order to be high performing individuals? What do you think happens to all those little parts that we have judged, suppressed, pushed away, made wrong? What if it's those little parts that are actually causing now the self sabotage, that are keeping all of these successes and all of your dreams at an arm's distance away, saying that, hey, look, like I'm stuck here in jail. You put me in jail. I have all of these desires to play and to enjoy and to have food and to enjoy life a little bit, but I'm stuck in jail. You're keeping me in jail here. Like, if you're not letting me have what I want, then fine, I'm not going to let you have what you want, while not actually feeling enough. There's something wrong with me. So, as high performing individuals and with overdeveloped discipline muscle, the self worth aspect also cannot come into complete integration and wholeness until we allow ourselves to see all of these parts and aspects of ourselves that we have suppressed and we have not allowed. And instead, here, kind of, this is the journey. This is what we're doing in the Flow Habit Academy, to bring up all of these parts, and become aware of them. Oh, wow, this little boy or girl who wanted ice cream and I didn't let them have it. I'm so sorry that I didn't let you have it. I didn't see you before. I didn't even recognize that that's what you wanted. And then we can have an open conversation. It's like either, okay, fine. Well, we can't have ice cream right now, but maybe on our cheat day. Or maybe rather than it's so bad for you to even have that desire to actually say, I know we have been under a lot of pressure lately. And I know you want that sugary snack or you want that little break. Well, how can we work together so that we both win, so that you get to have what I want and I get to have what I want? And just beginning to have that conversation with all the different aspects of ourselves that we have suppressed up until now, what do you think is going to happen to them? Whereas before they felt like, well, this person's not even listening to me, they're not even hearing me. One, you're beginning to notice them and to have a conversation, internal conversation with them that, wow, I'm so sorry I've been doing that to you. I didn't know. And what do you need? I'm here for you. Like, let's work together to fulfilling your needs. Right away, they're like, oh, finally, he or she's listening to me. Finally, I'm getting through. Finally, I can get. There's a possibility of getting my needs met. Oh, I feel heard. I feel like it's okay for me to be here. I feel justified and validated for having my wants, needs, and desires. That it's okay for me to be this way. And what do you think is going to start to happening to your internal self-worth and to you feeling whole and complete as you are as you begin to integrate all of these parts that have been suppressed, that you have suppressed for very good reasons because of the conditioning that we have received, right? And they will begin to feel a little more whole, a little more worthy, a little more, maybe I could be loved and lovable with all of the things that I've judged as bad before. Maybe this hanging skin or maybe the little body situation that's happening, maybe that's okay. Kind of that's I could learn to love that part too. And as we learn to integrate all of these parts, what do you think is going to happen when we get all of these parts onto the same train, so to say? Would they need to scream and yell for your attention anymore by sabotaging any of the plans and events that you got going on? Maybe as we begin to feel whole and worthy, we no longer need to have any of the bad things happening to us anymore. And maybe as we're beginning to feel worthy, completely worthy, feeling safe, provided for, and that my purpose is to simply be in the experience and trusting that if I allow myself to go after what I feel like doing in each and every moment, that would be my highest expression. It would lead me to my highest potential and service to the entire whole being. And what if the thing that you desire for yourself is actually what the entire existence desires from you to provide for others, including if you need a break, if you need to sit on the couch for a year or two. And when you feel worthy, whole, and complete, going through some of these steps that we covered today, what do you think is going to happen with your drive and motivation and inspiration? How long do you think it's going to take for it to come back to return to be um, lit up even more so that you could actually get clarity, you could get energy to start making some actions and shifting your behaviors and maybe beginning to have a completely different internal experience of where you're going, where you need to go, where you would like to go, And just notice what's happening even in your internal experience, just having listened to these words. What's happening to the pressure that you felt inside that you have to do all of those things all of this time? That maybe it could be the time that you no longer need that pressure and that it has served its way. And maybe you are now getting to a high level of awareness and consciousness that now you can actually be stronger than some of those inner parts that felt not enough, that would have kept you taking the foot off the gas and maybe not performing to your highest level. And as you stop performing from the pressure and you begin to discover that the more you allow yourself to relax and feel at peace and feel safe, the more inspired you are to go and make something happen, not just for yourself, but for those around you. Ah, this is what I'm here for. This is when a high achiever, high performer who has already created amazing, great things, when we allow your mind to relax into the safety of the present moment and to uncover this sense of self love, self worth, self acceptance, and self compassion, your highest potential just 10x, 100x, 1000x to what you're now able to create, because now we have reduced that pressure, we have reduced that discipline muscle, and we have expanded your ability to simply bring into life in the next moment what it is you actually want to experience next and how you want to contribute to the world. And when you feel whole and complete and enough yourself, wouldn't you want to share that with others rather than trying to source it from the external validation, from find safety in the money, find security in your achievements? When you feel whole and enough and complete, and when it's just you're can't wait like to burst from this overflow, what do you think is going to happen? Both to your projects, to your experiences in life, to the way you're received by your people, and including the way you're received by yourself, right? The wonderful, wonderful things open up. So if anything has shifted for you in this conversation about self-worth, I invite you to let it all settle, maybe listen to it a couple more times. And if you're not yet inside the Flow Habit environment, right? We have the Flow Habit app that is creating a beautiful structure for you to keep reconnecting to the sense of self-worth and create this distance between how do I feel compared to what is happening in my circumstance around me. And as you begin to have this deeper understanding of where you would like to go and how you would like to show up in your life, you're welcome to join us in the Flow Habit Academy, where we talk about all of this stuff and actually help you connect with some of the things that may still be in the way, right? Kind of what I've mentioned is the exact layers that we help people go through. And it is a very effective and efficient system to help the high achievers to finally allow themselves to feel good about themselves, to go after the projects that you actually want to go, to feel supported, and actually being able to then see how life is reflecting back to you all of this amazingness that you're beginning to feel inside. So if this is something that speaks to you, you're welcome to join us. And otherwise, if there's anybody who's struggling with that sense of confidence or effectiveness, or be able to just enjoy the journey and learn to love themselves, feel free to share this episode with them, because I'm sure this is how we get to expand and ripple out this amazingness that we are coming towards as a society as a whole, each of us on our own individual journeys, while there is a river flow and current that is taking us as a human species in a way. So hopefully this has served you. And if not, let me know. If you have any questions, reach out and we'll see you now next time.